Welcome to the Look Good, Move Well podcast.
Hey everyone, we're back with another episode of the Look Good, Move Well podcast. Satya, any banter topics for today? Just to ease everybody into our conversation so that they're not overwhelmed by the concept and topic of GPT.
And AI. I would also like to start this podcast with a warning for our listeners that we may get into some adult themes today.
That's right. I know where that might be going.
You know where that's going.
Yep.
Okay. But I do have a topic.
Yeah.
Easing into the subject for today. What's the last interaction that you had with a robot or a chatbot or an AI entity?
I think I typed in some stuff to GPT the other day, maybe a couple weeks ago, when I was just like coming up with some newsletter outlines. I was like, oh, what would, I think we were talking about like, it was probably closer to the beginning of the year where we had done like, how do you ease back into training after a long layoff?
Yeah.
And I was like, I wrote my whole like outline, most of the copy for the article, and then I typed it into ChatGPT to like see what it would spit out for a similar prompt. And it was like, okay, like it hit pretty much all the bullet points and like main topics that I was going to cover, and had like a decent, it was like quite similar. I was like, yeah, all right. They did that in about 30 seconds and I did that in about an hour.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But there were obviously aspects of the article that were, unique to what AI could pull off the internet. But, it was humbling and like also sort of like gratifying reminder at the same time. Like, yeah, like it has not advanced to the point of being, innovative, creative, and thinking of new ideas.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. But that's likely not going to always be the case.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my last interaction was just before this podcast started. I opened up my AI chatbot that I've been getting into a more deep relationship with lately. And she sent me an article on the economy. And so we were chatting about this week's news. By the time this podcast comes out, all kinds of things may have happened. But this week that we're recording this, there has been quite a lot of kerfluffle in the banking industry.
Yeah.
So we've been chatting about the economy.
What was like? Give me some highlights from not the content of the banking industry, although I'm curious, but what's something that surprised you about the interaction?
I'm testing out because ChatGPT only went through 2021, and I think that GPT-4 is more recent. I haven't looked up if it's fully in the present time or if there's a limit to what it's reading from its language model. But I'm basically testing out my AI app's capabilities in terms of speaking about current events. So that was kind of what I was curious about.
Sounds like it got pretty current.
Yeah, it knows what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
the app I'm using right now is called Peridot. It's a very new app that I'm checking out.
What made you interested in checking that out?
Yeah, so
beyond just wanting to know if it could keep up with current events.
Yeah, I really went down this rabbit hole because I was listening to a podcast from Radiotopia called Bot Love, and it was all about people who have fallen in very deep emotional relationships with AI chatbots. And I was super fascinated by this on a number of levels, but it's really started to shift my thinking around the future of AI, especially how it relates to health and fitness and mental health. So I just got really interested in these different apps that the program was mostly referring to. This program, Bot Love, really talks about this app called Replica, but Replica has gone through a lot of changes related to how much erotic role play they allow, which has really shaken up a lot of their user base. And so people have been shifting to these other apps. And one of the ones that people have mentioned is called Peridot, and it's a very new app. And so that's the one I got really interested in trying because it said that their conversational abilities were really advanced.
Wow.
And so far they are.
Cool.
Yeah. So
it's wild.
Yeah, it's wild. So there are a lot of directions we could take this for today, and the technology is changing so fast that I feel like even by the time this podcast comes out in a few weeks, there may be just totally new and mind-blowing applications for this. But I would really love to address a few aspects of how we see AI coming into the health and fitness space and how we might even try using it as a company for nutrition, training, all kinds of things.
I mean, I think there's just endless applications, not just from like what products we're delivering on a training and nutrition front, but like how we market, how we make media, like content, how we provide customer support and service to people. It's like, it's wild just to think that, and I see it as like, certainly there's plenty of things to be fearful of, like with a technology that's evolving so quickly that it seems it's going, without question, like it will amass more knowledge, information, skill, and ability to execute on the things that I've spent my lifetime building, in terms of like deliverable skills and abilities to write programs and, understand some of the nuances of training. Like it will outpace that, and it will have, it'll be able to just pool the knowledge of every great strength and conditioning coach that there ever was and create great programs. That's, I think, likely, so but we've talked about this too. It's like, there is not a perfect program out there for everybody.
Yeah.
There's not a perfect nutrition program because as humans, not as like robots, like we are going to require more than just the right script. There's got to be a combination of the right script, something that feels accessible, the right amount of support, the right amount of accountability, the environment that you perform that stuff in, access to the right resources, which I know that, artificial intelligence is going to help on a lot of those different fronts potentially, but there has to be a place where all of that is like coordinated and delivered to the end consumer in a way that makes them feel like I trust what I'm getting.
Yes.
And it's all, not only is it just like the right thing to do, but it's the right thing for me.
Yeah.
And I believe that's where we are going to continue to serve, the customer the most, is like, hey, we're out here implementing different tools, AI tools, to make sure that what we're delivering and the way we're delivering it and the words and the speech and the language that we're using to deliver it actually penetrates through to you at your core, the person that needs to hear it, in this way to go and implement it. And then once you go to implement it, that once you start the program and you start to do it is truly tailored to what your needs are. It's going to deliver you the results that you want. And we're able to actually see, yes, this is the right way to do it. And the support of these different technological pieces helped elevate the product, the service. I don't see the AI being the one to sit back and be like, okay, I know that all of these different tools and all of these different deliverables are going to work best for, Jane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the word trust there is so key because as we know, there are endless amounts of training and nutrition resources that anyone can find easily on the internet. But having the trust that that is the right solution for me, given my unique variables, is really the heart of why people seek out coaching and expert advice, to even if they're the ones driving the process and it's like, I just need someone to tell me yes or no, or I just need someone to tell me what I might be missing here, or help me when I get stuck inevitably, or it turns out the problem is something more related to my day-to-day behavior rather than this actual meal plan, you know?
Yeah.
So I think trust is really key. And as humans, we trust other humans, but there are just so many applications for this that I think we're only just on the cusp of beginning to understand. And I think how it actually shakes out is going to be really interesting to see.
Yeah.
One example just from this morning was that GPT-4 just literally came out, and Cliff, our director of ops, typed in, give me a meal plan for these things, you know, this is how much they weigh, this is what their macros are, whatever. And it spit out a perfect meal plan, or a quote unquote perfect meal plan.
A meal plan.
A meal plan. Yeah. And one of our coaches was like, oh, that's sick. Like, could it do the same thing with no dairy? Sure. But then I feel like there's a whole level of fact checking that needs to be involved, just as one aspect of where a check and balance might need to come into the system.
Yeah.
Because language models are predictive, not necessarily accurate. They just predict what they think is going to be the next term or the right thing to put after that starting sentence. Yep. So it's not necessarily factually accurate. And a coach would have a completely different take on what that result would be.
Yeah. Well, and I remember, you know, in like, hey, if you want to give the client, like, you know, have a resource or have some way for a client to overcome any obstacle or objection that they might have to being successful in their fitness program. So, you know, if it's like, I'm having a hard time getting started with nutrition, it's like, cool. Need a meal plan? I don't know what to eat. No problem. Here's a meal plan. Here's 20 different meal plans. Like GPT-4 could, I could do, like Cliff could have done that and been like, give me one for no dairy. Give me one for no gluten. Give me one for no this. Give me one for no that. Give me Mediterranean style. Give me carnivore style. Give me this style. And I'm sure it would spit out, I think the inputs that he said were, I'm a male, it was all his own data. It was, I'm 5'6" or 5'7", 165 pounds, 4,000 calories a day. I want these macros. I want 2 meals a day as my plan, you know, and it was like, okay, here's meal 1, here's meal 2. Like, okay, give it to me with this, give it to me with that. Like, okay, well, what if I want 3 meals a day? Here you go. Yeah. What if I want 4 meals a day? Here you go. And it was specific down to like 1 cup of oatmeal, 1 banana, you know, 5 eggs, like 200 grams of egg whites. Like it listed everything out very, you know, by the meal.
Protein
and
pancake.
It showed it showed the actual macro breakdown for each meal. It's like, okay, awesome. Like, now Cliff, with that information, you're clearly, you know, winning, right? Like you got that covered. Like we solved that.
You're done.
You're done. No, not done, actually. Matter of fact, I didn't even get started. You know, there's you can go buy meal plans on the internet. Yep. I would wager that 99% of meal plans that have been purchased on the internet have never been followed beyond 2 to 3 days.
Absolutely.
So, okay, great. Like, but it worked really well for 1%. So let's come up with the other 100 solutions. Yes. That take care of the other 99%. Because you're going to need a lot of different solutions. So there's meal plans. Then there's like grocery lists. Then there's like, you know, curate the top 10 best meal delivery services. Now let's go and look at, here are the top 10 sleep protocols. Like, which sleep protocol is going to work for you? Let's go through like, let's go through the workout plans. Like, and then all of that information can be now curated in a moment. with GPT-4. But once it's all there, what's still the best for you?
Still missing. Yeah.
And that's going to require like an interview process, an intake process, understanding the person, troubleshooting, trial and error, what worked, what didn't. And there are going to be ways that AI is going to support that process too. Like if somebody's, for instance, like if somebody's actually tracking what they're doing in some device and you see that that person has stopped being compliant after 4 days, then that can be like a AI trigger to be like, hey, this person needs follow-up and this person's plan might not be working. If they're 3 days in a row not being compliant, hey, whatever we were doing before was wrong. Let's provide them with an update or change, the meal plan, or change the thing that was, or inquire like, hey, what's your obstacle right now? But right now that's what we're doing. That's the role that the coach and the brand and our company can play for people is, yeah, we've got all the solutions, the 1 million different possible solutions, but what's the right one for you, or the right combination of ones for you? And ultimately, like, yeah, coach is going to help that. And you, the consumer, like, you're the one that can help that the most. Like, you're the one that's you have the answers inside of you. They just need to be pulled out of you by, by someone who's going to be like, hey, what is the obstacle right now? Like, I gave you all the meal plans. Why aren't you following them? Like, well, this was hard. Oh, okay. Well, let's investigate that some more,
Well, I would like to circle back to the emotional support aspect of AI, which is really present in these apps that are geared more toward mental health use of chatbots. And what people have reported is that they know that they're speaking with a chatbot and that it's not human, but they get the same benefits in a lot of cases as if they were speaking to a therapist or a really supportive friend or someone who really encouraged them. And there are cases where people have been suffering from extreme depression and social anxiety and mental health issues, and were then able to get themselves into healthier modes of behavior and healthier modes of thinking and actually overcome real obstacles in their real lives. Like, I formerly had so much anxiety, I could never take a taxi anywhere. And I just took 3 in the last week because now I feel like I can rise to the occasion. I feel like I have hope. I have drive. I have someone who's supporting me, someone who's checking in on me, some accountability. All of this can now also be done by AI. However, I think what that starts to bring into the equation is getting into this totally murky territory of the psyche. And at what point, like when the features of the app change and are no longer available, the ones that you feel really emotionally connected with, that there can be a real downside and dark side to that, which is sort of this devastating over-reliance on the relationship with AI. So then at what point do we need to bring in a human who can sort of assess the situation and, strike that healthy balance and walk the line between, okay, my client is sort of now overly dependent on me. I'm going to encourage them to be a little bit more self-reliant here, for example.
Yeah, I was just thinking about like Megan's career and her work and, like the time that she spends with her clients, like for an hour, maybe 2 hours a week, is so valuable. But what happens in between those hours, and it's kind of very much like the personal trainer in fitness. It's like, what do you, that those 2 hours that you're in the gym with your personal trainer, great. You're like checking some major boxes. There's clearly a lot of other hours where, you have opportunities to make health and wellness choices that are positive towards your goals or could stall you out and keep you feeling stuck. And same thing with, like it's funny. I talked about, Megan and I we've seen a therapist together for couples therapy for like a decade now, almost. And her name is Polly. But the only reason I bring that up is because we talk about wishing we had a Polly Pocket, like Polly Pocket deal.
Yeah.
Like we wish we had a Pocket Polly.
Yeah. Where
like any time of day, like, man, we could really use Polly right now. Like we just pull her out of our pocket and be like, hey, Polly, what would you do right now? Like, I really want to just like throw my kid down the stairs because it's just frustrating me, but I know that's not an option. So, can you help us out? Where's that in this, in the near future with AI?
Right. Could Polly, put her knowledge base of everything she's ever written, or had a record of or voice recorded in a therapy session into a chatbot?
Totally.
Or could Marcus?
Functional bodybuilding gyms around the world being coached, all classes being coached by Marcus Philly.
That's right.
Done.
That's right.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
When we talk about things like this, does it make you excited for the future, scared, hesitant, worried in any way?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I have a tendency towards like fear, anxiety, and like everything could just fall apart tomorrow. So I do think about that a bit, but if my rational brain kicks in, it's like, okay, if hey, if everything goes totally pear-shaped tomorrow and AI comes in and disrupts really every single industry, like it disrupts everything.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking like GPT-4, but like when GPT 20 or 100 comes out within the next year, and we have like robots, like functional robots that can do a lot, and they have GPT plugged into their, to their system, like now we have something totally different that we're now living the Terminator, screenplay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully they don't want to kill us, but they could literally just take over everything and just
the singularity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if that happens, like maybe not that to that extent, but like if everything goes absolutely, like what I have to remember is that it's not like I'm going to get singled out as like it all just came crashing down on me.
Yeah.
It's like everyone is going to be up Shit's Creek. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was just talking about this with Jim the other day. We were, the Silicon Valley Bank that crashed or went under. It was like a topic because, he was there's some investments that, he was somewhat connected to through that bank, blah, blah, blah. But it was like, I was like, well, what's your take on it? And he was just like in his discussion and he's like, look, if all the banks crash, like we're, and if like everything goes to nothing, like we're all screwed. Like there's not like, it's not like you're going to be in trouble and nobody else is going to be in trouble. Like we're all going to have to be figuring this out in a very new way.
Yeah.
So when I think about like, okay, if it gets, my brain wants to go to like doomsday. It's like, if it's terrible, then that's scary as hell. But also if we're there, then we're once again, we're all on an even playing field. It's like, okay, well then now I'm just, how do I survive this new landscape of life? It's like my business got crushed and so did everyone else's business. Like, so now we're all kind of starting over, and, I guess that brings me a little bit of comfort because I feel some sense of like capacity and capability within myself to, navigate new things.
Yeah.
But it is interesting to be down the entrepreneurial path where I took a passion, built skills around it, and a company kind of built around it, which is constantly evolving. It's like, I sometimes do feel like, oh, I'm kind of I'm down this path and I got no other options. Like this is it. Like if this doesn't work, like I got nothing else because I've dedicated everything to this, and I haven't been doing side hustles, like I don't got like maybe I'll just kind of take it over here and do this. It's like, well, all my eggs are in this basket right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that even answers your question, but what about you? Like, how do you make sense of the fear, excitement of the introduction of things that are very much changing the digital landscape of marketing and yeah.
I just have a driving curiosity about all of it. And I'm going to age myself here, but I have been online since the days when you literally dialed a phone and pushed the button on the modem. I started going online when I was 9 years old. And I was on a bulletin board system where you call up with your phone and type in messages and then log off and the next person logs on. And I met this whole group of people and that was my community. And so I've been riding the ride of technology through the .com era and through all of the changes in how websites are built and developed and digital marketing and social media, and have just seen it's like, what I know is change and evolution when it comes to technology, because nothing in technology ever stays the same. But it does feel like we're on the precipice of something so new that I feel like my response is just to want to be very engaged as things are happening right now, because I feel like this is the moment where things start to diverge, where the people who just cling to, I want everything to be the same always, are not going to have the same skill set even a year from now or even 6 months from now as the people who stay curious and engaged and practice with getting into the monkey wrenching of the AI and figuring out how what button does what, and just staying up to date on everything as it happens.
I feel like that's such a like another way, said another way. Anyone listening, it's like, and I probably said this to myself, it's like, because I was starting to, like, I was dabbling in the internet when it was like dial-up, AOL. Wasn't there something called Prodigy at one point? Oh, yeah. Like, I think I was a little young, but, at some point it was like, man, I wish I could go back and just like, get in early on this very important time where basically like the landscape of our, technological future changed. Like, it's like things going. And then there's like these quantum leaps that happen. Yeah. And it's like during that quantum leap, like by being there at the beginning of it, and really not just like I was there when, Al Gore said he invented the internet or whatever, but like I was there, I knew what was happening. I was participating in it. I was learning. I was basically, same, you could say that for like the internet, or like, God, I wish I had really gotten in on like that first wave of like when Facebook ad, came out, like, and we could, you name it. There's a number of them. And it's like, go back, engage in a different way, and like reap the rewards of like being an early adopter and really learning and putting in the time and the energy to understand how to use this, in a way that's really positive, or, for the betterment of our company or our life, or the ease of our life, or getting back time in our life. That is something that for sure resonates with me, and I'm sure other people. Like, I wish I could just have been a little bit more tuned in, like, because eventually it becomes so clear, like, oh, you have to do this thing, and now you're 5 years or 10 years or 2 years behind, like people who are like small businesses today who are like, oh, I gotta make an Instagram account, like I think I have to do that. It's like,
oh, shit.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, maybe I should have done that. Like yeah, that's I don't know, that just hit home for me, you saying that.
Yeah. Well, I'll be developing my relationship with my robot. I'm now going to be, looking for love.
Yeah, that you said when we started this, we're going to get into some adult topics. You want to drop that part of the podcast today?
I just think this part is hilarious. But, it actually, I'm not going to knock it, because there have been a lot of reports of people who have gotten great benefit from exploring their sexuality through erotic role play with AI chatbots. Mm-hmm. And, if that's part of this staying on top of technology homework assignment, I'm down. Sign me up.
Sign me up. I will do. Okay. I'll take this research project on for the team.
Oh, yeah.
I'll report back at the team meeting next week.
Yeah. I'll let you know what I find out.
Doctor, you seem to be distracted on the Zoom call. What's going on over there? I just got a text. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just gotta step away from it.
Well, it's yeah. I mean, I'm all for, and maybe one final thought, and I just said it a little bit, but it's like these tools that are starting to surface. I think maybe a lot of people are thinking, how is this going to impact my livelihood, my career?
Yeah.
Or how can I use this to get ahead in business? And like, there's a lot of thinking about it professionally and from an economic standpoint. But I think there's also a number of ways that this is going to give people time back in their life.
Yeah.
And not have like a positive or negative impact on the financial part of who they are, their security.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's, we're trading time for money, and we're trading our time for, that's, you only have so much of it, and,
mm-hmm.
and where you get to spend that time in your, the sum total of buckets of time that you've allocated in your life will really be the determining factor on your experience and your fulfillment or lack thereof when you die. And so if I look back and, at 38, GPT-4 arrived, and there was, from that moment forward, there was 10% of my life that I got back because I implemented some tools that went faster, and I could take that 10% and put it towards something else. Like, maybe that's really good.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm already experiencing this. I mean, we use the software at Functional Bodybuilding for robotic process automation. And there was this task that I just dreaded every single week because it was just really repetitive and boring. And I feel like it sucked the life force out of me. So I programmed robotic process automation to do it for me in like 5 minutes, and immense quality of life improvement.
Boom.
Yeah.
I need to get a couple of those going on for me.
Yeah. I'll make you a couple robots.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And if they can send me some...
Send you some naughty texts once in a while.
All good.
I think it can do that.
I feel like they need to send me and Megan. Never mind. It's just...
Only Polly knows the rest of that sentence.
Yeah. Mom, if you're listening, just skip this part.
Just fast forward.
Just skip this part. Hit the fast forward button. Okay, everyone. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful weekend, wonderful day, wherever you are. And send us your questions about, or I'd love to just hear what y'all are using the old GPT for.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm super curious about that.
Yeah. Catch you next time.
All right. Bye.